Are you curious as to what this is or what it used to be? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm going to share it with you in this video. Huh, there's an underground room. I always wonder, why was it left here? Is there a story to it? Why is the individual sneakers here? That someone could be watching me if they wanted to, and I wouldn't know it. Oh, there's noise coming out of here. All right, so I have a new tool I'm going to debut on the channel here. I don't know about you, but after returning to the site and seeing this up close and personal, my sense of curiosity has been fulfilled. Not that long ago, I was in this area for a different video, and the area I was in is about 1 mile in that direction. I'd like to play a few clips for you from that video because that video is the reason I'm back here today. We are at our next location, which I'm considering ruins and possibly a bit odd. And as we pan to the left, there are some supports. This is a cradle system or support system for 2 pipes. So right in front of us here, well, I found the pipe to check that out because 100% that area has me so curious and my interest is highly piqued for what's over there. At this location across the stream here, across the river, is going to be high priority for me. I'm going to be coming back in the spring at the latest to get over there. Now, if you watched that video, then you probably remember how curious and intrigued I was on that location and how badly I wanted to get back there to check it out for myself. Well, needless to say, I did find a way there, which is going to consist of trekking through the woods along this creek about 1 mile. And on top of that, I did have a viewer reach out to me after that video came out, and he gave me some information which was not only incredibly helpful, but actually very surprising. If you want to satisfy your sense of curiosity as much as I do, well, all you need to do is come along with me. For the beginning of this, it's obviously a pretty easy trek here, pretty flat. Home's on the left-hand side, so we are near civilization, but we are going to be heading deeper back into the woods, away from the homes. And all we're going to have next to us is this creek and a roadway which is on the other side of the homes. I don't know if we're going to find anything on the way there, but like always, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, my head on a swivel, and see if we can find any unique, interesting things along the way. But that definitely is my target destination. And once we do arrive, we'll check it out. And while I'm showing you the footage, you could see for yourself if you can identify what you think it is. Afterwards, after we check it out for ourselves, I will share the details that were shared with me by the viewer. Some fallen trees here. Gotta watch my footing because easily roll right off and twist an ankle. And they actually have a nice day for once here in Northeast Pennsylvania. The sun's out. It's around 40 degrees and very little wind so far, but there's a chance for a scattered shower later on today. Hopefully we'll avoid that, but got a long ways to go, so I'm just going to start moving. Leaves actually sink in about a good 6 to 10 inches. Built up pretty thick here. Landscape is changing a bit here. Got a rock face, getting much steeper. And across from us, it's an old concrete wall there. And up ahead, a more modern stone fenced in retention wall for Maureen's Lunch. I think that's an ice cream shop. Those of you from the area probably are familiar with that place, or maybe you've even stopped there for ice cream or some food. And you can see the creek here is still partially frozen, at least on the banks of it. With these warmer temperatures, it's slowly going away, but we have had some recent days still down into the teens, so it's holding on. But here at the beginning of March, March 4th, my birthday, it's actually a nice day. Weather is cooperating. So yes, in case any of you are wondering how am I celebrating my birthday, well, I'm doing this, going out and doing what I love. I'm making this video for you guys, as well as for myself, because I am curious about that site. And I have another one planned for after this one. So I'm doing 2 videos today, and then later on, me going out to dinner with the family. And that's gonna be how I'm celebrating my 44th birthday. Just found this laying here, like a jug. Is that a wine? Looks like something Reunite raspberry, product of Italy. Looks like it's been here for a little bit of time. Never know what you'll find walking through the woods. Sometimes bizarre things, sometimes things that make you scratch your head and wonder, how did I get here, or why is it here? And just found something else. I think something that may be worth returning to in the warmer months. Let's check this out. It looks like a nice swimming hole, complete with a rope swing. Look at that. It's actually really well made too. Looks like you can get up on the rocks right there, swing out, and I'm guessing this is probably deep enough to jump into. Nice falls here too. The main falls right there, little side one right there. I could see the bottom, but it's definitely, I'd say, at least 4 feet deep that I could tell, maybe even deeper over there. So I may have to return this area to maybe go off the rope swing if it'll hold me, but at the very least, maybe do some snorkeling or at least get some underwater footage for you guys. But yeah, definitely a really great spot. And it's right here, pretty much directly behind that Maureen's Ice Cream Shack. So locals are enjoying this area, and I would too if I lived here, because this looks like an ideal spot to cool off in the summer. Looks like you could probably swing off from up here, but how do you get it? Have to get a stick or something to bring it in. Actually looks like it's made out of a signpost. You know, like a stop sign or a street sign that's stuck into the ground. That's around the rope. There's sections of it here, so that's actually part of oh yeah, that bottom piece there is, I'll have to show you on the screen what it looks like along the road, but it's a piece of plastic that's bolted to the road. It's like a barrier or divider. So they have miscellaneous street equipment here as their rope swing. It's got some weight to it. Yeah, I mean, maybe they swing out from here, maybe right over there. Ah, sparkly flip-flop. Yeah, this is a hangout spot, party spot for certain in the summer months. And look at the ice fall there. I have to say, that is a bit overkill for just a rope swing, because with the metal and that plastic base, it's much heavier than it should be. But maybe they are using it in a different way, but it's ingenious though. First time I've ever seen a rope swing made out of road and street materials. I think the trail is going up that way, although I do see a rope or something coming down straight ahead of us here. It's a hose, garden hose. It's tied to the tree. I guess people are just using it for climbing up and down. But I guess we'll follow the somewhat shape resembling an arrow And we now have to ascend uphill a bit. We are going uphill regardless, because obviously this creek is flowing down. But I think there's gonna be a lot of repeat of this, going up, coming down, flattening out, so on and so forth. Just climbed up from down there. See how steep the mountain is here now. And it retains its steepness through here. Looks like I could possibly keep going up here, but I think the safer, more appropriate route is down there where it levels out once again. All right, I'm gonna keep you rolling here because I have a feeling I may end up falling. It's pretty steep, lots of leaves, and if there's any type of ice underneath it, I'm not gonna see it until I am flat on my face, so let's be careful and try and do this. Basically skiing down this hill on leaves. Okay, there appears to be no ice here, just thick leaf buildup. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I was expecting worse. And I think I need to ditch the hat. I'm actually starting to work up a sweat pretty good here. I think I overdressed, thinking it'd be colder. But this hill here is blocking the wind, what little wind there is. And me climbing and doing what I'm doing, definitely getting the heart rate going. So I think I'm gonna be ditching the hat pretty soon, possibly even the hoodie. Now, I want to mention something which we're going to talk about later. But if you notice this ground here, the width of it, how flat it is, how featureless it is, it may look like something to some of you. Those of you with a keen eye like I have, this may stand out. And I think it does for good reason, which we're going to talk about later because, again, some of the information I learned was a bit interesting and surprising. So this may or may not have something to do with that. We'll mention it later and see if you think it is what I say it's supposed to be or supposedly was back in the day. Last home is right there. After that, it's nothing but creek bed and roadway. And there's something right here. I was just looking at those blue trailblazers, but they're actually surrounding something. Something man-made here. Oh, wow. Huh. There's an underground room. Holy crap. So I saw this, which looked like a grate, like a storm grate for water runoff. I think it's just laying here. I don't know if that's its true actual location, but it looks like maybe a water main or valve right there, but there's actually something else back there too. Yeah, there's a room down there, and it looks like it drops off close to 10 feet. I don't think I could get in there without not having a way out. And these trees are here for a reason to kind of block it up. At the very least, I could give you a view down there. And there is a water main or water valve down there as well. Let me get my flashlight out, get to a safe spot on the ground here, and we'll take a peek inside. Oh, you know what? There's actually ladder rungs. They're rusty, but they're in there. The first one's missing. Actually, the first two are missing. I don't know if it's worth chancing going into, but it's lined out of cinder block. Get the hat off so that doesn't fall in. Okay, it's not worth going into. I'll be able to show you what's down here. Let me light it up. Yeah, it's nothing more than a cinder block underground room. There's a pipe going this way, but there's a section missing. So there's a pipe going into the wall that way and this way, or coming out. And then over here is a valve There's some writing on it. And like I said, the first 2 ladder rungs are missing. If I had someone with me, I would climb down there. But if those ladder rungs do break, I would have no way out of here. It's probably at least an 8-foot drop to the floor. But there is another opening over there, I believe, too. Just to show you this right here. It's like a valve, I think, control valve. So laying down over the edge here, you can see the cinder block wall. See the ladder rungs right there. Gotta make sure I don't drop the flashlight. And then I'm gonna tilt you up. There's the big valve right there. There's the 2 pipes with the section missing. Not a huge room. I think it's deeper than it is wider. I don't know if this has anything to do with the location that we're going to. It's not that close to it, as far as I'm aware. But it's kind of off here, just on the side of the creek here, not too far away from it. But intriguing nonetheless. We've seen places like this before. Usually they're in buildings above ground. I have seen 1 or 2 like this, but they're usually near like an old reservoir or a work site for maybe like a mill or something like that. But yeah, one wrong step, you could definitely get hurt. But there is another opening over here. I'll take you over there and we'll check that out as well. Now this one has a clear defining, I guess you could say, cap on top of it. It's outlined in concrete. This one, well, that goes down even deeper. Wow. Yeah, so I think what we saw over there that I said I thought was like a grate, stormwater grate, I think is just like this, the top of it, and it's broken off. This one goes down much deeper, but smaller. That's about 10 feet deep. See, the pipe is going directly through, and there's some controls on top of it there, some piping, valves. So we know that these are connected here, this and that hole right there. They're not connected underneath, but they are obviously working in unison with each other. But random finding though. And that's how far away it is from the creek bed. Makes you wonder what else could possibly be out here. I'm gonna go down along the creek bed here just to snoop around, because this area definitely has my attention. But if you guys have any insight as to what you think it could be used for more than just water control, by all means share your thoughts and suggestions. You can even see where the hinge was for the metal door that went over top of this. And like I said, there's a blue trail blaze with an arrow pointing down, I guess kind of highlighting this spot. Boy, it's turning out to be a nice day, and it feels so much better with my hat off. Interesting area here for sure. Like I said, the journey is going to be just as important as our destination, but I just want to share with you briefly the light source I'm using today because it's a unique one. This is the Olight Arcfield Ultra. I have reviewed it on my channel before. I'm not reviewing it now. Just wanted to tell you about it in case you want to get some information for yourself. It's a 3-in-1 light. You can see there's a dial here. You can change it to 3 different settings. It's got your main white throw light, which I was using for lighting up underground. It has a green laser pointer and a UV ultraviolet light. And on top of that, it has a magnetic rechargeable base right there. So if you want to check it out for yourself, there will be a link down below. I'm going to go down here briefly, check by the creek. I don't want to spend too much time because I do want to keep going. We still have a good distance to go. But if I do see anything worth showing, I'll come back and get you. Otherwise, we're going to continue up here in that direction, because no matter what, we are going to that location. Like, this is going to lead us directly to it. But obviously, there may be some things, some additional pit stops worth making along the way. Checked down by the creek bed, didn't see anything down there, so I'm back up here on top. and just came upon several fallen trees. Dead trees, but it looks like they have toppled relatively recently. There's even more of them through this way as well. I think I may have stumbled upon an old road. Look at all the fallen trees here though. It's like a dozen of them. There's something going up this direction that's flattened out and cleared. Some type of path or trail or an old road. Maybe worth investigating at a different time. So there's another section of homes here, as I mentioned, but I know once we get past those, there won't be any more. So I know I still have a ways to go, but each footstep is a footstep closer to our destination. You can tell we rose up above the creek now. And it's more of a man-made section. Concrete slope there for the embankment. But something I want to show you, which I don't know if it's just the angle of it from where I'm standing, or if it does look maybe not the safest, but look at the foundations, the supports of that house. It looks like they're bowing out, but being that it's on that concrete embankment, I think that's intentional. But it still looks like they should be facing the other way with the support, the overhang in front of it, not behind it. So that if there's weight pushing on it, it's pushing against something rather than nothing. I don't know, it could just be the angle, but it looks like that is not how it's supposed to be. And I do know that water does get up that high. There's a few different water lines there, and they even have steps coming right down to the creek here. So, I mean, they have a nice little creekside property. I would think that if it's on an angle like that, that the overhang part should be coming down this way instead of under the house, if that makes sense. I could be wrong, but just wanted to point it out. It did catch my attention. Steepness is rising once again, and it's pushing outwards towards the creek, which means our trail that we've been walking on for the most part has been pretty wide and easy to navigate, is getting narrower. And there's no clear defining path here other than just kind of taking the easiest path, least resistance through here. So I'm going to do that, and from what I could tell, this is the final section of homes. There's no other homes past here. It's just going to be the creek and the road. So looks like the sun is winning for now. Hopefully that rain's not coming. So far we've been pretty lucky with finding things along the way, and it's been making the journey more exciting. But I do know we have a distance to go, and I don't want to draw this video out longer than necessary unless it is worth showing more things. So I'm going to press ahead. I'm going to try to cover a good bit of ground. If I don't find anything really exciting or interesting or fascinating, I'm not going to bother stopping to share it. I just want to get to our destination, because there we're going to be spending a good amount of time to kind of comb the area and check it out in good detail, since we are going to have this unique opportunity of finally getting there on foot. Landscape has vastly changed. Made it through that trickier area, and it's opened up here once again. May be able to see, actually I'll give you a closer look. As we make our way over here, I do want to explain something that on a couple of my recent videos, there's some viewers who have noticed a couple things, and that is maybe some things that aren't natural, such as trees placed in a certain area, or trees bending or crisscrossing each other. Well, back there in that tricky area, I did come across two trees that were bent over and crossing each other. I don't know if that happened naturally or intentionally, but I do know there's some people that do look out for those things in my videos, so I did want to share it, as I did pass by it on my way to where we are now. So here is a neat area for a couple different reasons. Got some large boulders here, but if you look across the other side, there's a stone retention wall. That does play a clue into the place we're going to. So keep that in mind. Not only that flattened out, widened out area I mentioned before, but also these stone walls and stonework. They also do play a clue with the place we're going to. So just keep these clues in mind. They may help make more sense once we do arrive. I was just backtracking away from the creek there, showing you the stone wall, and came upon this. If you guys stay with me, I'll show you someone's tent. It's all dried out and torn. Oh, you guys are over there. Nice. It was actually an old pair of shoes. This has been here for a while. The one sneaker is covered in nature's carpet. I always wonder though, because I've come across places like this before. I shouldn't say places, but locations with old camping gear left behind. This is probably my third or fourth tent I found in the woods while making videos. And I always wonder, why was it left here? Is there a story to it? Why is the individual sneakers here? Questions we'll probably never get answers to. It makes you wonder if something happened to them. I mean, I'm not a camper, so I can't really speak for others, but from what I've seen from any channels I do watch or videos I watch of camping, most camping individuals are pretty responsible, especially with cleaning up after themselves. This doesn't look like a party spot. It looks like someone was staying here. So why did they leave their tent behind? I don't know. Nothing really here though. There's a plastic tray in here, and that's about it. It's been here a long time though. Probably close to a year, if not longer. And these sneakers are almost like a work of art. Nature's actually reclaiming them. This area is pretty fascinating though. It is really sprawled out here. The embankment, which is basically a mountain, goes way, way up at a slight grade. And down here is a lot of tall trees, some fallen trees, and some big stones as well. So landscape is definitely changing. And the good thing is that it's pretty easy to navigate. Wow. Talk about a nice piece of carpet. Look at this. I gotta touch it to my bare hands. It's like a sponge. That is such a thick layer. It's a combination of like turf and carpet. That's a good patch of it. It's like remnants of a spray can. And a bucket that's frozen to the ground. Trying to get a different angle here on the camera. Something else man-made. You can see remnants of a fire ring right there in between those bigger rocks. Somebody placed stones there. This area is definitely frequented by people for camping or hiking. I don't see any more trailblazers, but the area, I will say, has a different feel. And it's hard to explain. You know, we're away from the houses now. We're not far from the road. I can hear the water. But I guess I could say I've had this feeling before when I went searching for a hidden waterfall, where I guess I could just feel vulnerable. This area is so vast here now, so wide, and although it's not really remote, I do feel vulnerable. I don't know why. Not good, not bad, just like that someone could be watching me if they wanted to, and I wouldn't know it. So I'm just kind of glancing around, paying attention to the surroundings. A lot of huge trees here, a lot of down trees. And I'm gonna check my GPS soon. I don't think we're too far away. I'm hoping we definitely are under half a mile, I know that. There's actually still some snow up there and some peak areas, some ice. And just like that, once again, I'm no longer vulnerable. The landscape has moved out in this direction. And our nice open path of travel has gotten smaller once again. The good news is, I think that I'm only a few hundred yards away. I'm looking, what you won't be able to see, but I'm looking through the trees at the curvature of the road. There's a section of the concrete embankment wall there. And that site, I think, is catty-corner to that. So I think if I just press on, keep following the curve of the creek here, we should walk right into it. I'm about, actually, okay, so this is Route 29, the roadway there. That's the one we've been kind of following with the creek. And I'm seeing my position. So the road and the creek goes around to the right. Looks like where we need to be is just around that bend. So between here and there, it's only a few hundred yards. So that's good news. We're closing in. That's what I was pointing out before. The concrete embankment along the road. And up here is another stone section. Creek is much more tame here as well. But according to GPS, our location should be just around the corner. Is your heart pumping like mine is? Adrenaline is rushing. I'm excited. And this was a lengthier trek than I imagined. I knew it was a mile, but all these little pit stops and changes in terrain definitely slowed me down, and we're starting to see signs of man. And we are within eye shot of our destination. There's something right here coming out of the ground. 4 metal iron pieces. And you know, the frustrating part is that during the video clips I showed you, I was so close, but so far, because I was on the other side of the road and I had no way to cross. The water was too deep, too cold, too icy to get over here. So I had to literally park down in town and trek all the way here. But with that being said, we have arrived. I'm gonna briefly scope out the area, come up with like a plan of attack as to what we want to check out first. I think we're gonna stick with what I call the right-hand rule. Just kind of work our way to the right, circle around, and that way we'll see everything from the perimeter inwards. Here's just a brief initial look. Some trees standing, some trees that have fallen. But I think one of the more important clues is right in front of us. This big rock face, which is almost like a small mountain. I believe that's going to play a crucial part into what was shared with me. And it's a raggedy old shirt here. Galaxy, size 2XL. I'm going to do my best to show you the size of this wall, this rock face compared to me. As Buddy the Elf would say, it's ginormous. There's still quite a bit of snow here too. So here it is compared to me. It's a big one. And this whole landscape is just all swooping down towards where you guys are, except for this. This looks like it's been cut in sections. Either cut or blown apart. But again, it's another clue. I'm going to continue tracing the side of this wall here. And one of the main focal points is directly ahead of me, but I don't want to get to it yet. So just bear with me. I just want to do this a certain way. Maybe save the best for last if it is the best. So we just came from back there, walked around the bend here. Still more exposed rock. I'm trying to look for some details or clues, which I'm not seeing at the moment. I haven't really given it a serious hard look, but I'm looking for like drill markings. There may or may not be one up there. Possible. Can't rule it out, but I want to see if there's anything around this bend up here. And there's mountains right in front of us, which are not natural. So I'm going to walk right around them, see if there's anything on the other side. If not, we're going to come towards the water's edge. And I know there's a couple things over there that we've seen from across the road. Okay, I know where I am. There's ice here. All right, so a couple things I could share with you. I was standing right there by that pipe on my previous visit. I was also standing right there too, because right there is the cradle for the pipe system that went across the creek at one time, which is no longer there, obviously. The pipe is laying on the ground. But on a Google map road view, the pipe is still there. So it wasn't removed all that long ago. Well, I guess we will climb up on top of these mounds and head towards the other direction there. Okay, we're on top now. Nothing that I could see, except I'm going to give you a preview as to where we're heading. Right there, those are what we've seen from across the road. Those standing support columns. Well, we know 100% this is where they cut the pipes. It's actually little rods here. Yeah, they're a clear shot directly across. I can see the cradle there. That's why I said it's so frustrating. Like, it's literally like 30 feet across where we were standing from this area, and I had no way to get here. But now we're here, so I can't complain anymore because this is what I wanted to find. Oh, there's noise coming out of here, like water, like I hear like when water's going down the drain, it starts like popping, bubbling. That's what it sounds like. It's really filled up with material though. That's kind of weird looking. Well, this one's actually open on the other end. This one's clear. The other one is sealed up. I shouldn't say sealed up, but it's not opened up. It's going underground, and that's where I hear water making noise. So we obviously know water had a part to play in this location. This pipe here is cut. I can see where there was one over here, which is no longer there. And this is basically right next to those columns, which we're going to check out next. I might try to get down here, I think, because there's some concrete work. Just want to make sure I'm not going to miss anything, maybe a date or something. But I don't think this is as old as this site. So maybe it's just a coincidence that they are close proximity to each other. But I'm thinking maybe they're not 100% related to each other. I don't think I could get down here. This is steep and slippery. They're hollow, whatever they are. As I explained, this pipe is open on the back side here. We could confirm that. There is daylight coming through. There's some stamping here. Oh, look at that. 1907. WWW. Is that what that is? I thought that was maybe like World War something. It's like WWW 1907. It's like Rowe and Company. ROW and Company. Oh, maybe this is actually related to this site, and this possibly may even be here before the site that we're checking out. You can see some connections here, some steel braiding. That's actually going right through the tree there. And this goes underground, actually heading back towards those underground rooms that we found. Oh, there's more concrete work up there too. Okay, so there's more to check out. I want to give you a view inside this pipe. It's pretty unique. Okay, it's not going to be easy to do, but I have the light in here, and I am showing you in there. So that's what it looks like from the outside going in. It's almost like a volcano tube. You know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to put my microphone in there. And I want you to hear what I think I hear. It sounds like gurgling or bubbling or something like that. It could just be echoing off something, but maybe you'll hear for yourself and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Based on what you've seen so far, do you have any ideas what you think this could be or what it was? I'm gonna let you know soon. I want to check this out right up here, then we're gonna retreat to those columns. I actually brought a new tool, a device with me that was viewer suggested, which is gonna help with those columns. So stay tuned for that. Something was notched in there, maybe either wood or steel. Same thing there. That goes in a little bit over a foot. I see some beams up on top. I don't know what this is here. It's all concrete. There's a piece of steel coming out right there. It's a good distance above the water. Came up on top of here, see if I can find some clues. And it's just a chunk of concrete, roughly 2.5, 3 feet of thickness. There's 2 metal beams here. Almost looks like railroad tracks, but I don't think they are. Nothing else up on top of here that I could see. Pieces of rebar coming out over here. And then you guys are sitting on the other chunk of wall down there. Behind here, there's nothing really. So this one has me puzzled. I don't know what this could have been. Maybe it could have been something else supported on here, like another pipe system. Is it connected to the area that we're at today? Is it something independent? Don't know at the moment. I think I kept you waiting long enough, so thank you for bearing with me here. As you know, I am a detail-oriented person. I like to check things out to the best of my ability while I'm here. And I don't like to just jump around. I kind of have a plan of how I want to do things. With that being said, I now want to show you what I guess is probably the best for last. And the reason that I want to come here is because of what I saw across the road, which we're now standing in front of. So I'm going to put the bag down here for a moment, take you for a little walk through, give you different angles, and we'll see if we can make heads or tails as to what we have here. So let's check it out together. See behind me, there's some openings. We're going through another opening. There's a support right there. And as we come around, there's no more openings. Now there's just taller, bigger columns here. Over my head in height. So we have these big ones right here, which as I stand right here, you can kind of see, there we go, decent view. Another one over here on this side. Pretty featureless, but I do see a eye hook right here, I think it's called. I have it on auto tracking, so it's tracking my face, not my hand, but I'll show you everything in detail after I do this initial walkthrough. And then we come around to the other side here, and this is the final one, which is right at the water's edge, right here by the pipes. And I can see a rope hanging there too. So I'm not going to give you a proximity of size yet, because the tool I brought with me should do that for me. There's a small eye hook right there. And I will say these three that are here look roughly the same size. I think that's calcite coming out of it. It's like an anchor or tie-off point. Something was mounted there. Oh, actually, maybe it's right here. Metal plate. Yep, that's from right there. I will share my thoughts as to what I think this is. Like, I know what the location is based on the help of the viewer, but what these columns are or were used for. But I could be completely off. I have been wrong before, but I at least want to give you some insight as to what I'm thinking. Some smaller ones over here, covered in nature's carpet. Some bolts and nuts and washers on there. A little tiny triple set here, which has some more hardware on top. So you can see something was mounted here on all three of them going straight across. Looks like rebar right there. And then you have these nuts on here on the anchor bolt. So pretty safe to assume something was laying across the top of here, whether it was a piece of equipment or something different. But regardless, this is easily a support system for something pretty heavy, something they didn't want going anywhere based on the size of that hardware. But then we have these. We walked through it before, so it's interesting that there are little openings going through them. These ones are lower for more like little people, 4 foot and shorter. And then a couple more supports over here. You know, this almost reminds me of like a vague resemblance of Stonehenge, but this would be concrete henge. I just noticed too, looks like something was rubbing on there or mounted against here, but there's definitely clear markings. Piece of steel right there. Yeah, it's Pennsylvania's own concrete henge. Although they're not going in a circle, it's almost like a large set of dominoes that could just topple over. And here again, more supports. And finally, the back side or front side, depending on how you look at it. No dates that I could see anywhere other than the pipe that we saw in 1907. Is this older than that? What a unique site though. I'm so happy to finally be here and to take you guys along as well. And I kept my word. I said I was going to make this a priority. I'd be back here sooner than later. And we're still in the midst of winter, but weather has finally cooperated. And even if I didn't get the help from the viewer, I would have came back anyways and just kind of winged it as we usually do. All right, so I have a new tool I'm going to debut on the channel here. And this is honestly something I should have probably got a long time ago. And it was helping with a suggestion from a viewer. This is a laser distance measuring tape. And it uses laser technology to measure the distance either from the back of this or the front of this to the target. Or I can also measure the width or height of items. As long as I can see the laser, I know I'm pointing in the right direction, I should get a fairly accurate reading. So I'm going to power it on. I'm going to try to get a reading of width and height of this wall here. You have to put it on the right setting, and we should be able to do it pretty effortlessly. Okay, so I'm going to do width first. Okay, there's the laser. Do my first reading at the edge. Okay, second one in the middle here. And then the third one at that end. Okay, so this calculates it, and it shows it being, can you see it? 15 feet across there. So 15 feet, 8 inches. Now, it's not 100% precise because my hand's moving. If I had this on a tripod, it would be more accurate, but it's a pretty good ballpark. Now, we'll see how close I am to me guessing the height of this. So if I stand next to it, you can see it. I'm 5'11", just shy of 6 foot. I'd say this is about 8.5 feet tall. We're gonna measure that and see if I'm close. And we'll get a reading for certain to see exactly what it is. Okay, so measuring the bottom there. Middle reading, and then the top. You guys may doubt my calculations, but look at that. 8 feet, 6 inches. So when I give you ballpark estimates that I think it's this big, I think for the most part I do a pretty good job. Obviously I could be off by a few feet, but I just, did it here live for you right in front of the camera, didn't do any editing, and I did it with this as well to confirm. So we can do another thing now. I can measure the distance between these two. So let me change the setting of that. I'm gonna do it from the base of this. So I'm gonna stick it against the wall here. It's gonna shoot straight across. And from this wall to the inner wall of the other one is 9 feet, 9 inches. So, let's see. Yeah, you can see it on. So I don't remember who it was that suggested this. I think they sent me an email. Thank you so much. This is actually a $20 item, and I think it's become invaluable on my adventures because there's a lot of things we come across. I can even take this in abandoned mines or culverts and shoot distance, width, height. It could do other things as well, but that's all I really need it for. So since we have it out, let's go to some of these smaller ones and see how big they are. All right, this one's gonna be a little trickier because I can't stand directly right in front of it here. I'm gonna do my best. But again, I'm gonna go for width and height. Okay, so first reading at the end here. Middle reading. End reading. 15 feet 3 inches roughly, so they're about the same width. I'm going to do top to bottom this time, which is not going to make a difference. Middle reading and then the bottom. 7 feet 1 inch. So it's about a foot lower, but again, the ground's not completely flat, so some parts are going to be higher or lower than others, but let's see the width of these. In between this gap here, and hold it still. 2 feet 6 inches in between the gap right here. Let's see if this one's the same. Three feet. This one is wider than that one. So hopefully this helps make it a little bit more interesting for you guys, that you can actually get some accurate readings and measurements. Between this and my new 4 gas reader, we should be covered for most locations. I know if you're still watching, which hopefully you are, you want to know what was shared with me about this site. Well, let me find a comfortable spot. We'll sit down and talk for a bit, and I'll share with you what was told to me. Should have brought some lunch with me. It's a nice little spot. I'm going to pull out my phone because that's where I have everything jotted down. Now, before I do reveal what this is or was, just keep in mind the clues I shared. Earlier back, I said, some of you, this may stand out to. This flat, relatively cleared out trail we're walking on. To me, that resembled something. Also, some of the stonework we've been seeing along the way, along the edge of the road specifically, going all the way down towards where the homes are, there's been a lot of stonework. And I mentioned this big rock face here. These are all clues as to what this location was. So if you haven't guessed it by now, this was a former rock quarry. Honestly, I never would have guessed that. I would have thought it was something related to mining or a mill site. It started in 1929. So this started after that pipe system was put in, okay, let me retract that. That pipe was casted, I actually might see some drill markings. That pipe was casted in 1907. I don't know if that's when it was installed there. So I don't know if there's a relation between the pipes that went across the road that we checked out and this site here. You guys may know differently, but this business, this quarry, started in 1929. And it was created to help supply stone for the walls in the area. So those stone walls that we saw, a lot of that stone probably came from this site. They needed to build up retention walls and different types of stonework. I'm gonna have to take you over there. I definitely see drill markings. I wasn't certain, but I think there's definitely some. Squirrel moment. The last bit of information that was shared with me, which is probably the most fascinating, is that I say supposedly because that's what the viewer told me. Supposedly a Loki train, and a Loki train is a small coal-fired train, typically used at collieries and mine sites. It's not your big traditional steam train, it's more of a narrow gauge steam train, but a Loki train ran up along the river to the site to help service this location, probably for delivery of the stone. So earlier back, we saw some areas that look like they're really flat and could be a rail bed. So I can't rule that out to say that couldn't have been possible. Although we have come across several areas though that looks like, you know, the earth is just too far in for it to happen. What I'm thinking though is maybe in those areas where it was too far in, where there was like a narrow path, they could have had little Loki bridges, little trestles going over the creek or around those steeper areas. So I think it's possible that a narrow gauge steam train serviced this location, coming down basically from where we started, down by Horror Hall that way. As far as ending dates, I don't have that information. The viewer who got the information from his father, I think they guesstimate maybe the 50s or 60s, maybe not even that long. That's just really throwing it out there. All they do know is that it started in 1929. Now, as for these columns here, the little ones and the bigger ones, what are they for? That I honestly don't know. I can only tell you what I think. The little triple set with the hardware coming out, I think for certain something was mounted on top of there, a piece of machinery or equipment. The ones with the holes here that you can walk through, they could have been manways. I don't know. But since they're mostly all the same height, for the most part, give or take maybe a foot, I think something was going across the top of there. And thinking about it now, they could have had some type of rail system coming from the rock face here, coming to the top and maybe dumping or loading into awaiting train cars. Now the train cars obviously would have to be on a trestle over the creek. Either that or something was mounted on top of there, like another piece of machinery or equipment. This could have been maybe under a building. It's a lot of possibilities. It's really hard to say. And unfortunately, looking in the older maps, going back to, I think which one I found, either 1939 or 1950 or 60, you can't really see this site. It's really hidden back here behind this mountainside, and you can see where it was in relation to the road, but you can't make out any details of this location, so that's unfortunate. And just once again, I do want to thank the viewer who did reach out to me. He did speak to his father and was kind of getting some information off of him since he's older from the area, and he knew instantly what this place was. So it just made me coming back here that much more excited, because not only that we were able to get here, he confirmed the route to get here that I was looking at on the maps, but he gave me details to share with you. So I knew it was going to be a win-win in my book, and the journey here was, to me, just as impressive. That hole, the holes in the ground there, with the valves in there, the let's say mediocre or medieval rope swing, the gorgeous nature's carpet, and just some other things, the stonework. Really a fascinating area. We're not done yet. I want to take you over here and show you some of these drill markings, which does signify and confirm they were probably drilling and blasting from this particular area to create the stones that were taken down towards the town for the stone walls and retention walls. So you see all the stone laying on the ground here. This was probably blasted away and left here, and they stopped working and never had to process it. So a lot of the stone obviously came from that wall. But as we get closer to it, we're going to have evidence that we've seen, like on rock cuts on rail lines. And it is easily visible right there. That is a drill marking where he drilled through and blasted. And there's probably more of them if I do look around, but that's one that's the most clear. Might be another one there. So if you ever wondered where a lot of the stone comes from the stone walls that we see along our adventures, well, we know a lot of it comes from quarry sites like this. And this is not like your traditional, typical modern day quarry site. Now, those of you who are maybe familiar with stone quarries, I'm sure you could agree that the modern day ones look much different than what we see here. This is kind of primitive, comparatively speaking, to modern day stone quarries. Same premise. They find a rock source, they drill and blast it, and then process it on site and ship it. And when I say ship it, I don't mean by ship, obviously, but ship it to its destinations for sale. I don't know about you, but after returning to the site and seeing this up close and personal, my sense of curiosity has been fulfilled. With all the clues I gave leading up to this location and the additional information I shared, were you able to connect the dots? Did you know that this was indeed a stone quarry? I may or may not have figured it out on my own. I know when I was across the street though, when I stumbled upon this site, I was thinking a type of mill site. That water played a part, which it probably did. But I don't know what they would have been processing here or drilling for, other than obvious stone. But where the stone was going, I think there would have been a lot more unanswered questions. But I absolutely love this area. I think I want to return here again in the future. if you don't stop and make all the pit stops, it actually isn't that bad to get here. I'd say if you keep going, and I started right by Horror Hall, you could get here probably in half an hour at the most. It took me much longer than that. Let's see what time it is, because I started just about 11 a.m. Yeah, it's 1:16, so I took my time. Most people don't stop and check out all those little pit stops along the way like I do, but that for me what makes it more of an adventure, more of a journey. And I also wonder too, with a lot of these locations, you know, I found this in that last video or that previous video just by driving down the road. I'm a very observant person, and I saw this here and I knew I had to look into it more. But for the average, everyday, ordinary person driving down the road like that car right there, do they even know that this is here? Do they know what it once was? I would say chances are most people don't know what it was or even know that it is here. But now, thanks to my observation, my curiosity, and the help of a viewer, we now know what it is, where it is, what it was used for. So it's kind of a rarity that we have so many answers. Not everything's answered, but more often than not, we are leaving scratching our heads wondering, what was it? What could it be? And I rely heavily on the viewers for their input and feedback, where this time a viewer was able to reach out to me and give me the information I needed. It made me returning here just a rewarding experience, just because this was something I wanted to do, something I had to do for my own curiosity. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's journey adventure and up close and personal look at this old stone quarry site from 1929. If you have any additional thoughts or information you'd like to share, by all means, please do so. The comment section is for you, and I love hearing what people think as well, whether they agree with me or disagree. It's all bringing us together for our curiosity and for our sense of adventure and to document parts of the past. I had a fantastic time. All I can hope is that you did as well, and to thank you so very much for watching. And sometimes I ask, since it's a lengthier video, I'm pretty sure, when you do leave your comment with a smiley face. It tells me that you watched to the end. Otherwise, take care, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.